Welcome, everyone. Welcome to Speak Better English Podcast.
So imagine you want to learn how to play the guitar. You're excited, you're motivated, and you sign up for a class.
Right. You're ready to just jump in and make music.
Exactly. But on the first day, the instructor does not hand you a guitar.
Of course not.
No. Instead, they hand you this massive, heavy textbook about, like, the history of wood types used in 16th century instrument making.
Oh, wow. Sounds thrilling.
Right. And they tell you to memorize the cellular structure of mahogany. You spend months studying the theory of music, memorizing the mathematical frequencies of sound waves.
And writing essays about the concept of rhythm, probably.
Yes, exactly. But you never actually touch the strings. After a year of exhausting study, you walk into a party, someone hands you a guitar and asks you to play a simple song.
And you completely freeze.
You freeze, you have all this theoretical knowledge, but your hands, they just do not know what to do. You cannot play a single chord.
Well, that is exactly how most of us are taught a new language.
It really is.
We're handed a dictionary the size of a brick. We are given endless lists of verb conjugations and forced to memorize rules that, honestly, even native speakers do not understand.
Yeah, that's so true. Native speakers have no idea what a past perfect participle is.
Exactly. So we build up this massive amount of theoretical knowledge. But the moment we step into a coffee shop and someone asks us a casual question, our minds just go blank.
Yes, and that is why today's deep dive is just so exciting. We are completely flipping that traditional model upside down.
I really are.
If you are a non-native English speaker and you are listening right now and you're just exhausted by that heavy textbook approach, well, this deep dive is designed specifically for you.
It's all about a totally different philosophy.
Right. We are going to look at a curriculum that does not hand you a textbook about wood types. It hands you the guitar, teaches you 3 chords, and shows you how to play a song tonight.
So our mission today is to deconstruct a very specific, highly concentrated curriculum excerpt. It's short, but it changes the entire philosophy of language learning.
I can't wait to get into it.
Let me lay out the exact source material we are looking at. We have excerpts from a course titled Mastering the Art of Everyday Idioms.
Okay, got it.
We are also focusing on the stated topic of this material, which is useful idioms for daily English.
Right.
And we're looking at one specific module titled Speak Like a Native. 12 idioms you'll actually use, and then in parentheses, podcast plus practice.
And there's one more piece.
Yes. Finally, we have a visual instruction included in the text, which says overlay, daily idioms.
That is a very small amount of text.
It is. But every single word is doing heavy lifting here.
Yeah.
This curriculum is built entirely on the concept of subtraction. It removes the noise and leaves you with only the essential tools.
So let's start with that overarching title, Mastering the Art of Everyday Idioms. There is a really interesting contradiction right there, don't you think?
Oh, absolutely. The tension in those words is fascinating.
Because when I hear the words mastering an art, my brain immediately goes to something grand.
Like what?
I picture an Olympic athlete training for 20 years. Or, a classical painter spending months getting the smile on the Mona Lisa just right.
A lifelong pursuit, essentially.
Right. It sounds like a massive academic thing, but then the title pairs that idea with everyday idioms.
Which implies the exact opposite.
Exactly. Everyday language is what you use when you drop your keys or order a sandwich. How can something so casual, so ordinary, be considered an art that you can master?
Well, that is the brilliance of the framing. It acknowledges a truth that traditional language classes completely ignore.
Which is?
That for a non-native speaker, surviving a casual conversation is an art form.
Oh, that's a great way to put it.
It requires an incredible amount of skill. A textbook can teach you the basic mechanics. It can teach you how to say, where is the train station?
Right, but that's just exchanging data.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But an idiom, the casual everyday phrase, does not translate literally.
No, it doesn't. Like if someone says it's raining cats and dogs, and you translate that word for word, you're going to be looking up at the sky in sheer terror.
Right. You'd be looking for falling animals. Using an idiom correctly requires perfect timing.
Yeah, timing is everything.
It requires you to understand the humor, the cultural context, and The subtle tone of the room. When a native speaker uses casual language, they are painting a picture with cultural colors.
They're participating in a rhythm.
Exactly. So when this text calls it an art, it is giving the learner massive psychological validation.
I love that point. It completely changes how you view your own struggles.
How so?
Well, if you are at a networking event and you completely missed the joke a coworker just made, it is easy to feel defeated. You feel like you failed a simple task.
But it wasn't a simple task.
Right. This title steps in and says, no, you didn't fail a simple task. You are attempting high-level artistry.
It elevates the daily struggle.
It really does.
Right.
It tells you that casual English is an advanced masterclass and your effort is respected.
It shifts your mindset from frustration to focus. And that respect continues right into the specific topic they highlight. Useful idioms for daily English.
Okay, this brings up a really practical question. We're talking about helping you, the listener, learn easily.
Right.
So, what makes an idiom useful? Because if there are useful idioms, that implies there is a whole category of useless ones that we've all been wasting our time on.
Oh, there absolutely is. A useless idiom is one that exists in the dictionary, but not in reality.
Right, the stuff you never actually hear people say.
Exactly. In traditional language learning, you might spend an hour memorizing a beautifully poetic phrase from a 19th century novel.
Sure.
But if you try to use that phrase while standing in line at the grocery store today, the cashier is just going to stare at you.
They'd think you were a time traveler.
They really would. That knowledge, while maybe academically interesting, is completely useless for your daily survival.
So the word daily is acting like a giant filter here.
Yes, it strips away the poetry from 1850, and it strips away the highly technical jargon.
It leaves you with the language of the modern office, the group text message, and the commute.
Precisely. We have to remember that your time, the listener's time, is your most precious resource.
Absolutely.
If you are moving to a new country or trying to advance your career in an English-speaking environment, you do not have the luxury of studying for 5 hours a day.
No one has that kind of time.
You need high-frequency words. You need tools that you can pick up in the morning and successfully use by the afternoon. This topic promises to respect your time by cutting out the fluff.
It is the ultimate shortcut, which leads us to the biggest promise in the entire text.
The title of the module.
Right. The title is Speak Like a Native. Now, that right there is the absolute peak of the mountain for anyone learning a language.
It is the holy grail.
But I want to push back on this a little bit. Is speaking like a native actually a good goal? Doesn't that just set an impossible standard?
That's a fair question.
I mean, if you promise someone they will sound exactly like a local, aren't you just setting them up for a massive case of imposter syndrome when they inevitably make a mistake?
Well, that is a very valid concern if we define speaking like a native as having a flawless accent and zero grammatical errors.
Which is how most people define it.
Right. But that is not what this phrase means psychologically. In sociology, there is a concept of in-groups and out-groups.
Okay, tell me more about that.
Humans are wired to figure out who belongs to their tribe and who does not. And language is the fastest way we signal that belonging.
Like a secret handshake.
Exactly like a secret handshake.
Huh.
You can have a heavy accent and you can occasionally mix up a verb tense.
Sure, people do that all the time.
But if you drop the perfect casual idiom at the exact right moment in a conversation, you instantly signal to the native speakers, I understand your culture.
I get the joke. I'm part of the group.
Yes. That makes so much sense. It is less about being an invisible spy who perfectly blends in and more about just removing the friction.
We have all been in a conversation where the flow just stops.
Oh, definitely.
Two native speakers are talking quickly, throwing out metaphors, and then a non-native speaker joins in using very stiff, formal textbook English.
And everyone suddenly has to slow down. The rhythm breaks.
The friction is there.
And that friction is exhausting for the learner. You are constantly doing math in your head, translating your native language into formal English, and hoping it makes sense.
It's exhausting just thinking about it.
The promise to speak like a native is the promise to remove that friction. It is the moment you stop translating in your head and just start existing seamlessly in the conversation.
Wow. So it changes your goal from simply being understood to actually belonging.
Exactly.
Okay, so the curriculum makes this massive, life-changing promise about belonging and removing friction, but then in the very same sentence, it hits you with a severe limitation.
The number 12.
Yes. 12 idioms you'll actually use. Only 12. Why on earth would you limit the secret handshake to just 12 phrases?
Because this is where the curriculum architects show they truly understand how the human brain works.
Okay, how so?
Well, if you want to induce total brain freeze in a student, give them a list of 500 idioms.
Oh, absolutely. I would look at a list of 500, feel completely overwhelmed by how much I don't know, and I would quit before I even started.
Right. That is called information overload. Your brain sees the mountain of data, decides the energy required to climb it is too high, and shuts down the learning process entirely.
So limiting it is a psychological trick.
By limiting the list to exactly 12, the curriculum creates a profound sense of relief. 12 is a manageable number.
Yeah, I can learn 12 things.
Exactly, you can learn 12 things. It makes the promise of fluency feel entirely accessible.
It also tells me that someone else did the hard work.
Yes.
They looked at the thousands of idioms in the English language, threw out the garbage, and curated just the essential dozen.
That curation is key.
And I love the phrasing, actually use. It is a direct attack on those old textbooks.
It really is.
It is a guarantee that if you invest your energy into these specific 12 tools, you will get an immediate return on your investment in your real life.
Now, because our source material outlines this structure, but does not actually list this specific 12 idioms, we need to demonstrate how a curated list functions in reality.
Right? We need to show how this works.
We need to look at the situations where you would deploy these tools.
Okay, so we're going to try an exercise right now. We're going to act out the 12 daily situations this curriculum prepares you for.
This should be fun.
But since we do not have the specific idioms from the course, we are going to play a bit of an absurdist game here.
Let's do it.
We are going to use the exact titles from our source text as the punchlines in these role plays.
To be perfectly clear to you listening, you would obviously never yell the title of a textbook at a barista in real life.
No, please don't do that.
But we want you to pay attention to the energy, the confidence, and the specific social friction being resolved in each scenario.
Exactly. This is about feeling the situational power of having the right tool ready to go. Let us start with scenario 1.
Okay, set the scene.
The situation. You are at the office. You make eye contact with a senior manager you want to impress. You need a phrase that projects pure competence.
Got it.
I will be the manager. Good morning. I hear you are taking on some big new projects. How is the training going?
It is going exceptionally well. Right now, my main focus is mastering the art of everyday idioms.
Okay, ignoring the absurd literal words, look at the dynamic there.
It completely changes the interaction.
The manager asks a casual question, and you respond with a phrase that entirely frames you as someone dedicated to high-level execution. You took a mundane hallway greeting and turned it into a flex of your professional dedication.
You answered the question quickly, confidently, and left a strong impression. That is the goal of a targeted phrase.
All right, let us look at scenario 2.
Where are we?
You are in a team meeting. The project was a disaster, but the team managed to fix it at the last minute. The tension is high, and someone needs to break the ice and summarize the win.
Okay, already.
You are the project lead. The communication this week was rough, but we pulled it together. What saved us?
Honestly, we stopped overcomplicating things. We just stuck to useful idioms for daily English.
That is perfect. You use the phrase to diffuse the tension.
Right.
You credited a practical, shared strategy for the success. You brought the team back together with a simple, unifying concept.
It works so well. Let's move to scenario 3.
Let's do it.
We are out of the office. You are in a crowded coffee shop. It is loud. You want to place your order quickly and confidently, proving you belong in the fast pace of the city.
Okay, I am the barista. What can I get for you today?
I need a large black coffee and add a double shot of overlay, daily idioms.
Huh. I love the demand there. You're not nervously looking at the menu, translating in your head.
Not at all.
You step up, assert your presence, and order your daily fuel with the rhythm of a local. That is the exact friction-free interaction the curriculum promises.
Okay, scenario 4. This is a difficult social situation.
Uh-oh.
You have to cancel dinner plans with a friend. You need to apologize, but you also need to stand your ground and show that your time is valuable.
Got it. I am your friend. I cannot believe you are canceling on me again tonight. What is so important?
I am truly sorry. I really am. But I have a strict, non-negotiable commitment tonight. to podcast plus practice.
Wow, notice how that completely shifts the power dynamic.
It shuts down the guilt trip.
Yes. You are not just making a weak excuse, you are asserting a boundary based on a formal methodology. You are telling your friend that your personal growth is a priority.
Even as an absurdist joke, the structure of the defense is rock solid.
It is. Okay, scenario 5. You are walking down the street and a tourist stops you for directions.
Oh, this happens all the time.
You want to immediately disarm them, be helpful, but also show that you are a busy person on a mission. I am the lost tourist. Excuse me, I'm trying to find the train station. Can you point me in the right direction?
Absolutely. It is straight down this road, but you have to walk fast because I am currently rushing toward 12 idioms you'll actually use.
That is great. You provided the helpful information, but you immediately reestablished your own momentum.
I didn't get stuck.
Exactly. You did not get bogged down in a long, awkward conversation. You handled the social requirement and kept moving.
Scenario 6. You are at an art gallery.
Ooh, fancy.
A friend has painted something highly abstract and very confusing. They ask for your opinion. You need to sound supportive and cultured without actually trying to explain what the painting means because you have no idea.
This is a classic trap. I am the artist. Thank you for coming. What do you feel when you look at this piece?
It is genuinely captivating. The way you approach the canvas, it is a clear demonstration of mastering the art of everyday idioms.
That is the ultimate diplomatic dodge.
Thank you. Thank you.
You compliment their conceptual mastery without needing to get into the specific details of the confusing art. You sound sophisticated, your friend feels validated, and you survive the interaction perfectly.
Let us jump to scenario 7. You are at a networking event, and an aggressive salesperson is trying to trap you in a conversation about a product you do not want.
Oh, I hate when that happens.
You need to shut them down politely, but with absolute finality. I am the salesperson. Our new software is going to revolutionize your workflow. Let me set up a 1-hour demo with you next Tuesday.
I appreciate the hustle, but my calendar is locked. My only operational priority right now is to speak like a native.
Boom. Conversation over.
Yep.
You did not just say no thank you, which invites them to keep pushing. You introduce a completely unrelated high-level personal priority that they cannot argue with. It's a masterful deflection.
Okay, scenario 8. A colleague just gave a presentation where they took incredibly boring financial data and explained it so simply that everyone finally understood it.
A rare skill.
You want to congratulate them specifically on that skill. I am the colleague walking out of the boardroom. Did that make sense? I was worried the data was too dry.
It made perfect sense. Your ability to take that complex data and simplify it was a masterclass in useful idioms for daily English.
You pinpointed exactly what they did right. You recognized their ability to translate the complex into the practical.
Right.
That kind of targeted compliment builds incredibly strong professional relationships.
Scenario 9. You are stuck in horrific traffic on the highway. The driver next to you rolls down their window and starts complaining.
A universal experience.
You want to share their pain, but instantly pivot to a positive mindset. I am the angry driver. We are going to be stuck here for hours. This is a nightmare.
It is brutal out here, but I am using the time to focus completely on my overlay. Daily idioms.
You acknowledge the shared misery, which builds instant camaraderie, but you refuse to let it ruin your mood.
Exactly. You reframe the dead time into an opportunity for environmental learning.
Scenario 10. You are in a traditional language class. The teacher has just spent 30 minutes explaining a grammar rule that nobody uses in real life.
Oh man, I've been there.
You want to challenge the lesson respectfully, demanding practicality. I am the teacher. And that is why we use this specific tense structure in 18th century literature. Any questions?
Yes. With all due respect, while the history is fascinating, my personal curriculum requires me to focus strictly on 12 idioms you'll actually use.
A brave challenge to the old system.
Someone had to say it.
You assert the value of curation over theoretical bloating. You demand that the learning serves a practical purpose.
Scenario 11. You are in a creative meeting. Someone pitches a marketing slogan that perfectly captures a friendly, casual vibe.
Okay.
You want to enthusiastically back them up. I am the creative pitching the idea, so the tagline is just very conversational. I think it connects with people.
I completely agree. It hits the perfect cultural tone. It is exactly how to speak like a native.
You validate their intuition by connecting it to the ultimate goal of authentic communication.
And finally, scenario 12. You are leaving a dinner party. You want to thank the host and tell them that the conversation was genuinely enriching.
I love a good dinner party. I am the host. Thank you so much for coming. It was so lovely to catch up.
The pleasure was mine. The food was incredible, but honestly, the conversation was the ultimate podcast plus practice.
You elevate a simple thank you into a massive compliment about the quality of their social environment. You turn a standard exit into a memorable interaction.
Okay, stepping out of the role play game.
Yeah.
By looking at those 12 distinct situations, from the office to the coffee shop to the highway, you can see why a curated list is so powerful.
It really is.
If you have just 12 perfectly chosen phrases, you are armed for almost any daily social friction you might encounter.
You do not need the 500-page textbook. You just need the right tools.
And that realization transitions us perfectly into analyzing how the curriculum actually teaches you to use those tools.
Let's get into it.
We need to look at the methodology included in the title, which is presented in parentheses, podcast plus practice.
I really want to dig into this because at first glance, it feels like a bit of a trick.
A trick? How so?
Well, the whole promise of this deep dive in this curriculum is that learning should be easy. It should not be the heavy, exhausting process we are used to.
Right.
Listening to a podcast is easy. You put your headphones in, you sit on the train, you close your eyes. It is passive.
True.
But then right next to it, they add plus, practice. Practice implies effort. It implies work. Doesn't demanding practice defeat the promise that this is an easy shortcut?
That is a brilliant question, and it gets to the absolute core of why traditional language learning fails.
Okay, lay it on me.
The idea that you can learn a language entirely passively just by listening to it while you sleep or absorbing it without effort is a myth. It ignores how human biology actually works.
Okay, let us break down the biology. Explain it to me simply. Why isn't listening enough? I mean, I can listen to native speakers all day and understand exactly what they're saying.
Understanding a language and speaking a language happen in completely different parts of your brain. Yes. Think of your brain as having two separate departments. When you are listening to the podcast portion of this curriculum, you are activating the listening center of your brain.
Okay, that makes sense.
This area is fantastic at recognizing patterns, understanding context, and decoding meaning. If you only listen, that department gets incredibly strong. You will understand everything.
But the moment I try to reply, I freeze.
Exactly, because speaking does not happen in the listening center. Speaking is a physical motor skill.
A motor skill, like riding a bike.
Precisely. It happens in the muscle control center of your brain. To speak, your brain has to send precise, lightning-fast signals to your lungs, your vocal cords, your tongue, and your lips.
Coordinating them to produce sounds you are not used to making.
Exactly. It's like watching 100 hours of tennis on television.
Oh, I love this analogy.
Your brain understands the rules of tennis perfectly. You know when a shot is good or bad. But the moment you step onto the court and someone hits a ball at you, your arm does not know how to swing the racket.
You have the theoretical knowledge, but zero physical coordination.
That is the perfect way to summarize it. The plus practice part of the equation is the moment you step onto the court. It is the bridge between the two departments of your brain.
So you absorb the theory and the pronunciation from the podcast, and then you immediately force your muscle control center to physically produce the sound during practice.
Yes. So the formatting, putting them together in parentheses like an equation, is completely intentional.
It is saying that one without the other is useless.
Exactly. If you practice without the podcast, you are just guessing at pronunciation. But if you listen without practicing, you are just building an illusion of fluency.
It creates a vital biological feedback loop.
It really does.
You listen to the native speaker on the audio, you attempt to physically say the idiom out loud. Your ears hear your own voice.
And your brain compares your voice to the native speaker's voice.
You notice the difference, you adjust your tongue and lips, and you try again. That loop podcast, practice, adjust, is the physical mechanism of building a new neural pathway.
It is so honest. The curriculum respects the listener enough to tell the truth.
So it doesn't sugarcoat it.
No, it lowers the barrier to entry by making the theory accessible through audio, but it does not sell a fake, effortless dream.
Right.
It says, we made the list short, we made the audio clear, but you still have to move your mouth.
Which brings us to the final and visually most interesting element of the source text.
The visual instruction.
Yes. We have discussed the psychology, the curation, and the auditory practice. But the text includes a specific visual instruction. Overlay. Daily idioms.
I found this part fascinating. An overlay, in a video or digital format, is a graphic or text that floats on top of the screen.
Right. You can see the video happening behind it, but the text is always there, hovering in your line of sight. It does not go away.
It is a persistent environmental cue. While your ears are engaged with the podcast and your mouth is engaged with the practice, your eyes are anchored by this overlay.
And the psychology behind this is deeply rooted in habit formation.
I immediately thought of a trick I use when I want to start jogging.
Ooh. What's the trick?
If I leave my running shoes in the closet, I will never go for a run. Out of sight, out of mind.
Every single time.
But if I take my running shoes and place them literally in the middle of the hallway, directly in front of my front door, I am forced to interact with them.
You physically have to step over them to leave the house.
Exactly. They become an unavoidable visual overlay in my environment, constantly reminding me of the habit I want to build.
That is exactly how the digital overlay functions here. It is your running shoes by the door.
Right.
In the digital learning space, it is easy for your mind to drift. You might be listening, but you start thinking about what you're going to make for dinner. The persistent visual presence, the words daily idioms, acts as a subliminal reminder. It pulls your focus back.
And I think the specific word daily in that overlay is crucial. By keeping that word constantly in your field of vision, it is burning a core philosophy into your brain.
Consistency over intensity.
That is a vital point for any language learner to internalize. The traditional model encourages intense, exhausting bursts of effort.
Like cramming vocabulary for 4 hours on a Sunday.
And then you do nothing for the rest of the week.
Yeah.
That is highly ineffective for memory retention. The brain needs repeated, spaced exposure to build permanent pathways.
So the overlay is acting like a silent coach.
Yes.
It is hovering there, constantly whispering, do not just do this once, do this daily. Make it a small 10-minute part of your everyday routine. Keep your running shoes by the door.
But the true genius of this concept is that it does not have to stay on the digital screen.
What do you mean?
Once you understand how an overlay works, you can start applying it to your physical world.
Wait, explain how I do that in real life. How do I put an overlay in my physical environment?
You start mentally tagging your surroundings.
Mentally tagging?
Yes. Let us say you just learned the idiom, spill the beans, meaning to reveal a secret. If you learn that in a vacuum, you will forget it.
Almost instantly.
But if you mentally project an overlay into your office, maybe you picture the phrase hovering over the water cooler where people gossip.
Yeah.
You have created an environmental cue.
Oh, I see. So tomorrow, when I walk up to the water cooler, that mental overlay triggers. The environment itself reminds me to practice the language.
Exactly.
I am no longer just studying English at a desk. I am turning my entire day into a practice zone.
You anchor the language to your daily reality. You are building an immersive environment without ever leaving your home country.
That's incredible.
The digital overlay in the curriculum is just the training wheels, teaching your brain how to associate visual cues with linguistic habits.
Wow. This has been an absolutely massive shift in perspective.
It really has.
We have taken a tiny handful of phrases from a curriculum outline and completely dismantled the traditional, heavy, frustrating way we have all been taught language.
Let us summarize exactly what we have uncovered in this deep dive for you listening.
Good idea. We started by analyzing the incredible paradox of mastering the art of everyday idioms. We realized that casual, street-level conversation is not simple. It is a complex art form requiring timing, nuance, and cultural rhythm.
By framing it as an art, the curriculum validates the real struggles of the non-native speaker and turns frustration into a masterclass pursuit.
Then we looked at what makes a language useful for daily English. We determined that useful means high frequency and practical.
It means throwing away the 19th century poetry and focusing on the tools that help you survive the grocery store, the office, and the commute.
It is about respecting your time and filtering out the useless noise.
After that, we deconstructed the ultimate psychological promise: speak like a native. We clarified that this does not mean achieving an impossible, flawless accent to impress people.
Instead, it is about sociology. It is about understanding the secret handshake of a culture to remove conversational friction. The goal shifts entirely from strict grammatical accuracy to a deep, comforting sense of belonging.
We explored the strategic brilliance of 12 idioms you'll actually use. We talked about how giving someone 500 words causes brain freeze and information overload.
By severely limiting the curriculum to just 12 curated phrases, it replaces anxiety with extreme confidence. And through our 12 situational breakdowns, from deflecting aggressive salespeople to complimenting confusing art, we prove that a tiny toolkit is remarkably powerful if you know how to use it.
We examined the biological necessity of podcast plus practice. We broke down the brain's departments, showing that the listening center and the motor control center are different.
Passive listening builds comprehension, but active physical practice is the only way to build the muscle memory required for spontaneous speech. The curriculum tells the honest truth. You have to move your mouth.
Finally, we unpacked the psychology of the overlay, daily idioms. We saw how a persistent visual cue acts like running shoes by the front door.
It creates an unavoidable anchor that reminds the learner to value daily consistency over weekend cramming. And it trains you to mentally tag your own physical environment, turning your whole world into a practice space.
The entire philosophy we have explored today points to one undeniable conclusion.
Which is,
in language learning, subtraction is infinitely more powerful than addition. Success is not about how much you can pile onto your plate. It is about how much you are willing to clear away.
which brings us to a final provocative thought for you to carry with you as we end this deep dive.
We have spent an hour establishing that true fluency, the ability to effortlessly connect and belong, can be architected through just 12 targeted concepts, physical practice, and daily visual cues.
It completely shatters the illusion of the heavy dictionary.
It really does.
So consider this as you go about your day. If mastering an art is achieved not by trying to learn everything, but by focusing intensely on almost nothing, is the ultimate secret to fluency less about the immense, overwhelming task of memorization, and entirely about the brave, strategic curation of what you actively choose not to learn?